Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe.
My friends, I'm sure you already heard that American Vice President Vance recently arrived in Greenland to visit an American military base and speak with American servicemen. The American Vice President's visit caused an absolute uproar from European politicians who were enraged by Vance's critical words towards Denmark. Vance accused Denmark of neglecting Greenland and urged them to cut a deal with the United States. So why don't we take this opportunity and listen to what Vance has to say about the importance of Greenland to the USA. Together, shall we?
Let's be honest, what Denmark over the last 20 years has failed to do in some cases, because we know that unfortunately this place, this base, the surrounding area is less secure than it was 30, 40 years ago because some of our allies haven't kept up. As China and Russia have taken greater and greater interest in Greenland, in this base, in the activities of the brave Americans right here, we know that too often our allies in Europe have not kept pace. They haven't kept pace with military spending, and Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations. Now, President Trump, as he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. And unfortunately, the story of Greenland over the past 20 years when it comes to security is that we've underinvested in the infrastructure, we've underinvested in the security architecture, and we've underinvested in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And you know, one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about. There is no amount